granular techniques. How do you use them mainly? Is it just, let's say, you mentioned textures, stretching things and things, or is it, let's say, more exploring deeper aspects of a certain sound, smaller aspects? For example, I like it very much to find out how, let's say, a little bit perhaps overdone, but how does a certain millisecond of a sound really sound if we make it audible and something like this?
Yeah, that's the beauty of granular, isn't it? That you can really dive deep into the sound, like microscopic levels, and find out all those little nuances inside the sound. I mean, it's all done digitally, so I guess it's not really accurate, but still, yeah, it's really fun. I enjoy a few aspects of granular. First of all, I love the textures, as I said before. I love taking acoustic instruments and granulizing them, so chopping them into smaller grains, and penning them, the grains in the stereo field, maybe pitch shifting them also up and down randomly. Of course, time stretching is amazing. If you take something simple like a kalimba, for example, I don't know why, but like kalimba is for me like the ultimate tool to test a new granular module. The first thing I will do, I will go and I will record kalimba into it. I don't know, maybe it's the transients, like the attack and the difference between the attack and the decay. And if you dive really deep into this sound, you find really interesting words. I don't know, but yeah, time stretching. I also enjoy, and this I started doing a lot recently, percussive elements with granular, taking a sound, triggering the grains rhythmically, externally, rhythmically, and not, because usually you go with granular, you go random, you trigger the grains randomly, pitch shifting them randomly. So something a bit more sequenced, a bit more rhythmic. And again, finding those texture, like for example, I have here on the wall two, I don't know, can you see it? No, you cannot see it. Two tambourines, two different tambourines. Yeah, and I have a module, it's called Arbor for Menstruo. It has a built-in condenser mic. Yeah, so you don't need anything external. I just take the tambourine and I put it close to the module and I record some textures. And then I use them rhythmically, basically, taking the grains, maybe short, maybe long. This is sort of like the decay time of the percussive sound, the length of the grain, changing the envelope of the grains. So the grains, of course, in granular, you can change the envelope, or it's called also a window sometimes. That you can change if it will be more transient at the beginning with attack, or more soft, more smoother envelope. Yeah, so there is a lot to explore with granular, and of course also like this I'm doing less in hardware. This is more in software, but more like pads and chords. In hardware, there is still, I couldn't find any module that can do polyphony also. I mean, true polyphony, as in I can take a keyboard and play chords. I can do this also with other modules, but like connecting MIDI or something in place. So this I do more in software. But yeah, taking a sound and transferring it into something completely different, and using it as a source for chords, for all sorts of different ambient textures, full of reverb, of course.
It's amazing.
Yes, there's so much to explore. I really granular, I think, is like my favorite type of synthesis, I guess.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. There are other fun stuff, but I think granular and sampling and stuff like this, taking acoustic instruments, combining them with electronics. There is magic there. I'm not so sure why, but there is magic there. Yeah.
It is, and it's not yet thought until to the end. I think we are just at the beginning of the granular thing.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Not long ago, I corresponded with Professor Truax in Canada, again in Canada. That's by chance. He's, I think, the most let's say, the most thoughtful guy concerning granular and granular, so-called, he doesn't call it so, but I call it so-called serious music and things like that. And there are a lot of aspects which are have not yet reached the industry. So
yeah,
okay, well, all right. The other thing, also, I think very, very, very amazing, bad English. All right, is generative music. And I know generative techniques and generative ideas are important in your work as well. May I ask you to talk a little bit about this aspect of music?
Yeah, for sure. I think what I like about modular is the conversation between myself and the instrument. It's not just me, I'm not in control, and there is another entity in front of me, and there is a conversation between us. Now, generative techniques and generative patching is a very big part in this, because this is how the instrument is basically making decisions, if you will, and taking the composition into newer or different places, and basically being a part of the composition itself. It's not me telling the instrument what to do, it's the instrument and me having a conversation, having a sort of a connection between us, I guess. I know it sounds a bit
no, it is.
But it truly is.
Fact.
I mean, this is
it is.
Yeah. And so generative, I mean, there are many aspects to generative, but a few things that I really love is, for example, unsynced loops. This is something that I really, really enjoy, having different loops that are different in length, sometimes also different in speed, different in starting point, and just letting them interact with one another, meeting each other at different places, harmonize each other sometimes also at different places. And it's never the same, it's never repetitive. Basically, the loops are generating the result. So this is something that I really enjoy. Of course, Krell, sometimes I will build a generative patch as a generative patch and not as a part of a bigger composition. This is something that I really enjoy as a process. The process itself is very meditative, and it's like there's so much more space in it, because first of all, it's never ending. I mean, a generative patch is never done. But also there is the aspect of patching a bit, going back, listening how things develop, going back, patching a bit, changing a few things. So most of the time it will start with some variation of a Krell patch, looping envelope, end of cycle, a Krell patch, because it's very, very organic. I don't know how to explain this, but I mean, it's basically just voltage going up and down, but it's very organic, and it's basically the base of all of most, if not all of my dedicated generative patches that I build as a generative patch. But I guess that some sort of generative techniques are always there. If it's a sequencer that is always changing, if it's lots of probability. So things that, again, my love with modular is composing in real time, which means that also each time I start all over again, it will be always different. Because I will perform it differently, and also because the instrument itself will always change. Sequences will change, modulation will change, generative modulation is always there, things that are always changing, things that are always affecting one another. Yeah, it's always there. This is something that I explored from the very beginning already. Having like an entity. Sometimes my wife, it's just another thing. when I build a generative patch and my wife is coming or something, she asks me, "What? This is what you do? What? Well, you're not doing anything." And I say, "No, the modules, they are doing everything for me. I don't have to do anything." And she said, "That's something good you got going there."
Yeah, that's a funny way to set a spotlight on tension in general in generative music. I think we have always, when we do generative things, we have always the tension between, on one hand, the compositional will of ourselves, and on the other hand, let's say things like randomness, and they have some way to find a way to let's say to build something organic. That's
but something that I'm really trying more and more with time to implement is the idea that generative doesn't have to be random, basically.
Yes, you are completely right.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's generative, it doesn't mean it has to be random. So this is something that I'm trying more and more. More and more to explore, but but it's always there, I guess. I think it's also the nature of the instrument that is more pulling into a generative way, I guess, of patching stuff.
And there is one thing we have to find out in generative, and this is why always the most interesting and the most remarkable things happen shortly after we have stopped recording.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, it's always like this. Yeah.
What about real world sounds, field recording? What else, like things like this?
Yeah. So I work a lot with acoustic instruments. A lot. I mean, I just enjoy it. So I try more and more to use them more with my music. I have here a bass guitar. I have an a classical guitar, nylon string guitar, the tambourines. I have my flute that I'm using. I'm using stuff. I don't have a piano here, so I have to use it from the computer. But also, so acoustic instruments. I love using also all sorts of different things that are in my studio. I'm holding just this one here.
This.
And I did a session a few weeks ago, where I just went and I recorded this and I created another, just spontaneously created another sound with it. Just exploring things that are around me. This is very nice. And also field recordings, not so many. But I'm building a library that I always use. If it's birds, of course, a lot. Passing cars. There is something, I don't know what, there is something going on there with passing cars, this noise, if I usually record it also in stereo, so usually it's also drifting from one side to the other as they pass. But there is something, it's like there is a song from the Doors, where they say cars hiss by my window like the waves down on the ocean or something like this.
What a shame, I don't know.
Yeah, it's from LA Woman. The album is called LA.
Yeah, the album. Yeah, okay.
And it really does sound like waves. So I don't know. There is magic. There is something there in the sound of passing cars. So this I also try to record a lot. So I do. I use some field recordings, not always. In my the dedicated generative patches, it's always there as unsynced loops coming in and out. Sometimes I will also. This is also quite interesting. This is something that I got from R. Benny. If you heard of R. Benny, is a modular artist. Taking passing cars, waves, birds, running them through an envelope follower, not using the sound itself at all.
I can,
but then using it with an envelope follower to bring in different sounds, maybe also using it for pitch if you use something like sample and hold or something like this. And you sample the voltage coming out from the envelope follower. Is it too technical? Is it okay?
No, it's okay. It's okay, of course.
So if you
our community are
technical. I don't want to bore anyone with
no, not at all.
So basically running this voltage from the envelope follower through a sample and hold and using it also for pitch, and then a quantizer, of course, if you want. So yeah, so using found sound in a generative way that it's generating more or less, again, unsync loops and all of this, and also envelope followers. And really using it to bring in voices. I don't know, just imagine having waves, bringing in an oscillator or bringing in different type of noise. It's very interesting. Very interesting, yeah.
Let me tell a short story. It was really amazing. Perhaps you know this book, Handmade Electronic Musical Instruments by Collins.
I think
it's hardware hacks.
Saw it once. Yeah. I think I saw it once. I think it was your post also once.
Yes,
you posted about it.
Yeah. And I'm translating this into a series of videos. Some weeks ago, I took an old transformer from an old radio, and I needed only the inductor, and just plugged it into my recorder, my field recorder, and went around the monitor. Okay. We got this normal static noise, nothing very special. But then I thought, what about filtering out this 50 hertz hum from the electricity and this high static frequency from the monitor itself, what it does all the time. I did this, and what I got was human voices.
Oh,
there was nothing running, no computer. Yeah, the computer, of course, the monitor was running, but no software, nothing on human voices. The monitor was really not certain words, of course, but it was the sounds of human voices. And these kinds of, let's say, adventures are wonderful. Then imagine using this for granular further processing. It's, wow.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, happy accidents. That's the definition of happy accidents.
Yeah,
basically.
Sure, definitely.
Totally. Yeah, there's so much to be found out there. It's out there. We just have to explore, I guess. Yeah. If we want, if it's fun for us, then we can explore. Yeah. Why not?
You have talked here and there in the last minutes, more than minutes, about your workflow. Can you tell us a little bit more how you proceed when you get an idea, or is it only that you get the ideas while doing, or is it sometimes I have an idea, let's try it? How do you proceed?
Do you mean with music when I compose? Okay, so usually I will try my best. I will do my best to try and have a certain idea of what I want to try, how I want to start, or at least an idea of what it will be about, like a name or feeling or something like this. So this I do my best. The thing is that sometimes I just sit down and I experiment, and all of a sudden it happens a lot. And always when I post like the music, I always write, all of a sudden I ended up with this patch, because it really is like this, because sometimes I just explore, I have this idea, or I saw something that I want to try, and all of a sudden I wake up and there is like a whole patch. But most of the time I will try to sit down with an idea, because if I don't, then I will not come up with anything interesting. So I try to start with an idea, something how I want to start, and a technique that I want to explore, a module. Sometimes I will say, okay, you know what, I have this module, I still didn't explore this and that. Let's sit down, start with this, and try to build a patch also around it. Now there is something here that I think is quite important. And again, I'm saying this also to myself, because I don't always do this. But it's really important, I find it's really important to divide exploration and to divide composing, or divide, let's call it practicing even. Divide practicing and divide composing, because sometimes I want to explore things and I have this pressure that I need a finished composition or a finished track, or I need to record something. And it's just hurting the process. So I think something that is really important, and I try to implement more and more in my workflow, is having different sessions for practicing, because there are many people who will tell you just connect stuff and see what happens, or you don't have to know what you're doing, things will I don't really believe in this. I believe that the modular, the Eurorack, never mind how you want to call it, it's an instrument just like a piano and just like a violin that you sit down and you practice. I think also with modular, at least for me, it's how it is. I have to sit down and I have to practice.
Yes.
In piano, you practice scales. Maybe in Eurorack, you practice techniques. I don't know, maybe something like this. It's like a whole topic we can speak about for hours, how to practice modular. I think every time that I have a chance to ask an artist, if there's like interviews online, live interviews, I think the first thing that I ask is how do you practice? And because it's I think it's an instrument like any other instrument. Yes, it's ever changing. Yes, it's a bit unlike a piano, it can make sounds by itself also. But still, it's an instrument. It's a musical instrument. Even if you're making noise, it's still music. Everything is music. So one should still practice, I guess. Again, I'm saying it more for myself.
No, that's
but
it's true.
But yeah, so dividing, I think one workflow aspect that I'm trying to implement more and more is more practicing, separating making music or composing and practicing basically. So when I sit down to compose, I try always to have some sort of somehow to start, or an idea, or somewhere where I want to go, or a feeling, or something like something that I can always go back to and ask myself, are we actually, I should say, because again, it's more collaboration, but are we in the right direction? Or not the right direction? It sounds like there is, because if there is a right direction, there is also a wrong direction, and there is no wrong direction. It's just that are we having fun, I guess. I don't know. That's
I think it's not necessarily so that if there is a right direction, that there must be a wrong direction. I think Heisenberg or something, this physician, he told there is if there is a big truth, the opposite of this big truth is not a lie, but also a big truth.
Yeah, if everything is true,
like
then
that,
everything is sure. But it sounds like it when I say this is right, it means that there is maybe something else. Maybe there is something else that it's wrong, and it's not, because
no, it's not.
Yeah, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents.
How will the rest of 2022 look like for you, project-wise?
Yeah. I'm not so sure. Time is going by so quickly. It's already July almost, and I didn't make anything that I had planned. Not anything, but most of the things I didn't, because all of a sudden it's July, and but I guess it's for all of us the same. What else do I have planned, or how does it look like? Well, I started a year ago or a year and a half ago to make dedicated courses, I guess, series of videos that are more dedicated to different subjects. So I have one on the basics of modular. I have one of more hands-on, actually patching and stuff like this, everything with VCV. One more with patching techniques that is also with hardware. I want to make more. I have many ideas. I already started also two. I know it's not a good thing to start two things at once.
Two is okay.
So I hope to do this. Last year, I wanted really to start making workshops online via Zoom. Like take a dedicated subject and make a workshop on it, like for 10, 15 people, something like this, something small, so everyone can be involved. As much as I like making videos and share my ideas in video form, there is a disconnection there somewhere, where I cannot see what the other people, if they have like a question or something, or something is not. So I thought about making workshops where it's live,
Yes.
And everyone can just participate in everything. But it's July almost, and I still didn't start. I don't know when you will publish this video. Maybe it will already be July, but I still
maybe end of June or at the beginning of July.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, but I still didn't get a chance. So this is also something that I really want. That I really hope that it will happen. And more music. This is my goal always.
Yes.
Unfortunately, time is going by too quickly, but I'm sure it will go back, and more music, more, maybe live performances, stuff like this.
Is there anything you would like to tell our members?
Have fun.
Good.
That's all what it's about.
Yes.
Having fun. That's
it. I agree. All right.
Yeah. Just have fun.
All right, Omri. Wow, it was a great talk for me.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was great. Yeah. We could talk for hours, I think.
Yes.
I guess. Yeah.
But unfortunately,
do this again.
I think nobody would watch hours of us talking.
Yeah, that's
an
that's
hour.
That's a downside of YouTube. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's the reason why I always cut each interview into 2 parts.
All right. Yeah.
That's it showed up that it's a good idea.
All right. Yeah.
Omri, thank you a lot.
Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Greetings to all members of your family.
Thank you. Yeah.
and yes, enjoy your life.
Perfect. Thank you. You too. Yeah. Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.